what music your kid likes, and we're gonna find out why. So, what is your top 3 favorite of all time from childhood to now for R&B?
Top 3, Isley Brothers.
Right.
Let me see. Damn, there's so many people.
Whatever you say is gonna be the wrong answer, so just say a wrong answer.
I know. I just love everybody. Okay. So Isley Brothers. I'm a big Jill Scott. She's everything.
So you ready for Saturday then?
Yes, I am. Absolutely. You don't understand. I've been waiting for it.
All right, we're gonna touch back on that real quick, but go ahead.
And then
you said Isley Brothers. You said Jill Scott. You need one more. One more. Just shout it out.
Okay, I'll give it to SWV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll give it to them.
Who you got Saturday then? Who you think, like, as far as who you think's catalog is?
I love Erica.
It's your boy Brownwater Porter, and you listening to J.E.T.Sense exclusive Blue Hana.
Someone that is ready to receive that, you know what I mean? Because emotions can scare a lot of us, and they are very scary because it's, again, putting you in a position where you're revealing your authentic self to them, and everyone is not prepared to deal with your authentic self.
Roll me, Mac.
How would you maintain the flame in a relationship? Well, in anything in intimacy, nurturing, watering, creating a sense of tension, if you will, I believe is how, it seems, just from a scientific standpoint, it seems like the way to keep a flame in a relationship. You want to give the person that you're in that relationship with something to desire, something to look forward to, something to daydream about, and also through the night. You want to work on your best self, being your best self, truth be told. You being your best self is how you keep the flame in your relationship. I mean, in the sense of like a man, right? A man that keeps himself well groomed, a man that keeps himself well studied by his books, knowledge, wisdom, you know what I'm saying? Maintaining a very close bond with said brotherhood to keep you sharp is one thing, because you want to become something that is attractive. So the short version is to work on becoming attractive. Focusing on being attractive is going to help that flame side of the relationship. Don't get me wrong. It's been a long time since I've been in a committed relationship per se. But I also didn't know what the fuck I was doing prior to. I look at it now and being out of it that I wasn't leading as well as I could have. As well as I wanted to, if you will. I allowed fear, scarcity mindset to get to me, and it was showing in my actions. You know what I'm saying? Abandonment shit, from the past seeping in. But when it comes to just becoming something that is desirable, when it comes to making yourself sharp, maximizing your looks. Sounds very shallow, but we're very shallow people, and we like what we like. You know what I'm saying? We're attracted to what we're attracted to, and I don't think there's anything wrong. You know how I feel about fucking right and wrong anyway. I think it's merely just perspective. As far as attraction goes, now granted, I don't doubt that two people can love each other, but depending on who those two people are, ask me if they're still attracted to that person. Now, that's not something that we want to hear because some of us might have let ourselves go and just say, fuck it. I got you, you got me, we good type thing. However, there are some of us that that practice that self-care, which is also part of self-love. And I would say some of us is a little bit of narcissism and, feeling ourselves and all that shit. But it can be managed. You know what I mean? As far as like that level of like focusing on yourself and ensuring that you know what I'm saying, you keep yourself in good upkeep. But when it comes for me as a man, how to maintain the flame in a relationship is, I would say, content, right? Let's say for instance, like if you did you're talking to somebody that doesn't live in your area or something like that, or content. I would say that. I would say content in the sense of you have to feed the imagination, right? Me as a man, I don't believe that a woman is daydreaming about someone who comes off to be unattractive, right? Now, granted, we're getting older and motherfuckers be like, I ain't doing that dumb shit, man. Either she gonna love me or she ain't. Now, I want you to think about that. Would that work in reverse? If you felt that way when you first met her, if you carried yourself like, man, fuck it, she got to love me or that's it, would you have her? You know what I mean? So it's like both men and women are being swindled by some people when they decide to just let themselves go, because you were attracted to that person that they showed you, the representative, right? And it's hard to keep up the act of the representative, whether that's from looks, whether that's from personality and behavior, what have you. Then you have some people that are like, fuck this is who I am, you gonna take me or leave it type shit. And depending on your mental health, you very well might take that person who has shown you how disrespectful they are. But getting back on the subject at hand, how to maintain the flame in a relationship, you have to feed your attraction, and you have to understand what is deemed to be attractive by studying your mate, as far as like what they're into, what they find to be attractive. Now, you don't go asking questions, so it's not an interview, but in conversation, paying attention to what is deemed to be attractive. And you know what I find to be attractive for both men and women is when men carry themselves in a masculine frame and women carry themselves in a feminine one. That's another cheat sheet right there, that I believe can help maintain the flame of a relationship. Now, because opposites attract. You know what I mean? Like as a man, you have to ask yourself, if my woman is operating her masculine and does not trust me to lead, then what energy am I in? What energy am I displaying that she can feel okay with doing this shit? As a woman, if I am leading the relationship, red flag number one. If I am making all the decisions, if I have to tell him to get dressed for an occasion and set a date and shit, I'm not exactly sure that's something that you would want to do. I believe that you would want it to already be established. You know what I'm saying? That this is what we're going to do type thing. That's just my theory. You know what I mean? That's less, because in my mind, that takes some pressure off of you. You know, as far as like because in today's age, women work. So, and a lot of times women are managers at work. So they have to play mommy to grown people, and then they have to come home and play mommy to another grown person who they then build some resentment for because they lack the ability to lead. You know what I mean? And it's hard to find your son attractive. You know what I mean? Like, I believe women are attracted to men and men are attracted to women. For the heterosexual world, shout out to all LGBTQ that happens to watch this show. I'm not able to speak on that for obvious reasons. But what I'm saying is that in a heterosexual environment, me as a man, I'm attracted to a woman who is full on comfortable being in her femininity, right? She's comfortable in her sexuality. She's comfortable in being a lady, if you will. To me, it's a turn on. You know what I'm saying? Like all that tough shit, you tough ass girls. I'm not into Glorilla. I'm not. She's too young for me anyway. But I'm not into no damn Glorillas. You feel me? I don't want no. I don't want no Glorillas. Nah, none of the rough, none of that rough shit is not happening because you can't be led. I would have to exert a level of masculinity that I really don't want to have to do in order to get you to trust my leadership. It's exhausting. It's truly exhausting as a man, especially a man with purpose who got shit to do. There's no time for that. Two options: compliment, complicate. If you complicate, then you already know what it is. But maintaining the flame in a relationship, content, man. Like being able to generate content, giving your partner something to have an imagination on. Again, being flirtatious is something. Allowing them to know how much you desire them or how much you're into them. You know what I'm saying? And there's a tact to this thing as far as a man goes. Now, again, there's some, in my experience of dating, for the last, what am I? Almost 40. So for the last 20 years, there's some women that are comfortable with being flirtatious and there are others that are very shy. But under the right leadership in a relationship, they can become comfortable with being themselves and honing into their true sexuality. So with that being said, leadership, man, masculinity, and again, allowing a woman to feel safe enough to be a woman. I believe is how you maintain the flame in that. Now, as far as for a woman, her position in trying to maintain the flame in the relationship, never stop dating your mate. Now, I mean, that goes for both sides, but like, be desirable. Voice that. Voice how much you want to do certain things. You know what I'm saying? Have the comfort to say that shit. And if it's genuine, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's chemistry there. That's gonna just flow. And there will be times where it just seems like it's forced, and you come off, somebody come off like kind of aggressive, and you can work at it. You know what I mean? It's no perfect way to do this shit. It's just learning. But the more you do something, the better off it gets. You know what I'm saying? If anything worth doing is worth doing badly. So it's like taking the time to actually do these things that will heighten the intimacy in a relationship. You know what I mean? And it's obviously us. It's definitely us as men leading with shit, being honest about what we're thinking. But it's got to be in a manly way. I don't recommend saying it in some Hallmark movie type fashion. I think it just comes off kind of cheesy. It has to be, I would say it has to be natural and genuine, that you can feel that shit. but saying it in a way that you give a visual. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, for us men, we're very much visual. So like, obviously pictures and stuff like that. So, you know, seductiveness and all of that is something that can help heighten that anticipation for the next time you see that individual. Now, granted, we got our lives, we got works, and obviously at this age, some of us have kids, but do not forget to be a woman and do not forget to be a man. You know what I mean? Like, remember who it was that you were attracted to when you first met, you know what I'm saying? Like when you first met them. If Tony Robbins has this phrase that if you treat a person like the first day you met them, there will never be a last day, if you will. And we get caught up in our shit. We do. We really do get caught up in life itself. And sometimes we forget to water that plant of seduction between the two of us. You know, again, that opposites attract, and maintaining, again, men, maintaining that masculine frame is essential, man. Because again, women are attracted to men. They're not attracted to boys. And us as men are attracted to women, not so much little girls. So there is a certain decorum, I would say, to kind of carry yourself in the realm of seduction, in the realm of intimacy, in the realm of keeping that flame lit. And it's like being able to take risks. Like, don't play it so safe. Yeah, don't get so caught up in shit that you know, get so caught up in something unsafe that you catch something. You know what I'm saying? That you can't come back from. But nevertheless, you want to look back on your life and say, I can't believe we did that shit together. You know what I mean? Like, creating an adventure. That's one thing too. Like, that whole thing of not allowing yourself to become boring. And that, as a man, because you know, we like structure, schedules, and being rigid about shit. But being spontaneous, being very random can definitely work in our favor when it comes to creating that intimacy with somebody that we adore, or somebody we desire, somebody we lay in bed thinking about, somebody we're at work thinking about in a sexual sense. Again, just keeping that flame and just letting them know that they're wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of us really don't know how to communicate that well. And we mean something, we probably show it in action, but we don't show it in words. And it's a thing of beauty when you can combine words with action, and it just comes together in a desirable way. And giving giving your mate something to, again, flashback on how they felt in that moment, how you made them feel like a woman, how you made him feel like a man. You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm sure I can talk for days about this whole thing of keeping the flame and all that, but that's essentially for this for this particular topic about keeping the flame in a relationship. Those are the things I believe that I would do. I have done, some successful, some not, that may benefit keeping the flame in a relationship. How do you feel about vulnerability bringing you closer to someone? It depends on the someone, honestly, and their love style and what they're used to. Now, if you try to open up and be vulnerable to somebody who was taught their entire life that sharing feelings is weak, then they're probably going to reject you and push you away. However, for some of us that may have come up in that type of environment, but also made it a point to go to therapy and reprogram ourselves in our way of thinking and the way we express ourselves, it very well is the most freeing feeling that I know that I've been able to experience. I believe that even me doing like the show, it has allowed me to one, get used to hearing myself, but also get used to seeing my thoughts take shape when I speak them out loud. So it allows me to be very vulnerable about some of the things that I've endured in my life. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, there's still like a wall. There's a very much a protective wall that I'll keep around myself whenever I speak to certain individuals, because all I have is me. End of it all. It's just me. No one's going to look out for me, like me, you know? So there is a level of protection that you must have. And that's nothing against anyone that may be trying to get close to me. However, experience has shown me that humans will be human. So I have to protect myself against fucking humans. It's like, you know, dogs are nice to have, but even the nicest dog will bite you once. So it's being able to protect yourself to the best of your ability. However, vulnerability can definitely bring you closer to somebody if indeed they're at that stage too, where they feel comfortable enough to share said vulnerability. And I want to commend the women in today's society with all this masculinity going on with y'all. Like the women that are able to allow a man to speak freely about his thoughts and not ridicule him for such, if he decides to do so. Now, again, there's ways of doing this. You must be tactful in how you express your vulnerability. Now, there's one thing of being emotional and another thing of expressing your thoughts and emotions. You know what I'm saying? And it's learning the difference between the two. Because you don't want to come off like a bitch. Again, a woman is not attracted to a boy. You know what I'm saying? Like that mother-son dynamic. I believe a woman is attracted to a man, and to me, I believe that there is something attractive about a man who knows how to speak eloquently. You know what I mean? About what's going on within his mind, his own emotions, and again, in a masculine way. That's just me. That's just my theory. Some women may feel the same, some women may not. But I believe that our ability to know how to express ourselves can definitely bring you closer to somebody that you've expressed this to. But at the same token, they must be they must be someone that is ready to receive that. You know what I mean? Because emotions can scare a lot of us. And they are very scary because it's, again, putting you in a position where you're revealing your authentic self to them. And everyone is not prepared to deal with your authentic self and the things that you have to say out of your mouth to them, especially when it comes to the aspect of love. And it's like, we could be around a person, we can do all the things that a person would do in a relationship. But as soon as a motherfucker say, like, I love you, all shit get weird, right? It shit gets so fucking weird. And it's like a spell, if you will. And now everything is taken a lot more seriously in some sense, where you start using this term and then you become a character of yourself. I know I've done this numerous times, where I've expressed something deeply throughout my dating and all this stuff, and then becoming a character. I believe that's rooted in abandonment. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I reveal my true self to you, then you're gonna leave, and that fear is what's keeping, I believe, a lot of us from experiencing something that we've never experienced before. And we're all still going, some of us are all still going through that shit, man, of like trying to learn how to form healthy relationships, form healthy bonds, healthy connections when you've been sitting in toxic shit for so fucking long. And we don't know who's who. So we're all walking around in fear we're living in fear and we're making decisions out of fear in hopes that we're protecting ourselves. And sometimes we project that pain onto a harmless individual. And let me tell you, it fucking sucks when you've seen something that you've done and how it impacts someone that you had no intention on ever making them feel this way. But it is a pill that one has to swallow, and owning up to your actions, if you will. But vulnerability can definitely allow you to be seen in a different light. Now, for us men, there's like I said, you must be very tactful. Tactful is it's gonna be the word of this show, like Sesame Street, is tactful. You must have tact in order for these things to operate in a successful form. It's not always the easy thing to do with opening up, but once you get to a point like, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks, it's very freeing when you start being honest about what you feel, like having healthy boundaries and saying what you mean and meaning what you say. There's some women that respect you when you say the truth, and there's some women that will reject you when you tell the truth. But there will be a level of respect that will come later on from you being so honest with them, whether that's in being vulnerable about your feelings, whether that's being vulnerable about something that you went through, about a trauma, PTSD, whatever it is. I believe that there's this innate bond that gets created once you're able to be somewhat vulnerable with this particular person. I'm not saying tell your whole life story by any means, but when a conversation comes up, a particular subject comes up, and she has shown that she is essentially there for you, right? Not so much her ego, but there for you. And then you're able to open up and remembering what you share, because it very well may get thrown at you in an emotional outburst later on. So that's another thing that keeps some of us men from really sharing shit with women, because y'all don't play fair in arguments. You don't play fucking fair. Like, you'll use, oh, okay, but what about when you wanted to kill yourself? It's like, that's the last time I'll ever open up to your ass again. And you feel that way. And I know some women have felt that way too when they've shared something. Maybe they've shared something sexually with a guy, and then revenge porn, or sharing something very personal about their lives, and then that person used that against them as a means of control. It's fucked up. It's very fucked up. And again, people in pain. You have to ask yourself, are these actions coming from a healthy person, or is this coming from a person that's in pain? And sometimes it's hard to see, man, because some of us want to feel love so much that we'll share the darkest shit with the darkest people at the darkest time of their life. You know what I mean? And when we do that, we give them ammunition. Now, if we look at it from a conditional love standpoint, we're gonna feel fucked up and bad about that. But if we look at it from an unconditional love standpoint, them betraying me had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with them. And I can express in an unconditional love sense my affection towards something or someone, and have to take it. And it's tough sometimes, because when you've been yearning for a certain type of love, and this idealized version of love in your mind, and thinking that it's going to come around the corner, it's tough, because now you're having expectations, and life runs a hell of a lot smoother without expectations. Now, goals for self and expectations, me and my best friend was having that debate about that. I believe that goals for yourself is something that, that you manage. But expectations of others, you can only control yourself, and you're only responsible for your half of every relationship that you're in. Friendship, stuff at work, your, significant other, whatever you want to call it. But we're not in the position to control what others are going to do. So when we do something, when we love people, we have to love. I believe it's best for us to love unconditionally, and that's tough, man. It's tough to be like, all right, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to expect anything in return. It's tough because we feel like we're so incomplete or we're broken, and that we need this validation, this person's love for validation. And we really don't require that shit. Not at all. Because we are love. We're full by ourselves. But when it bites you, when you get that love, when that inner child hits, and then you get these emotions run across you, and you just feel like this person just completes you, toxic. Or like you're not able to breathe, walk, or whatever without having this person's love, you have now put your happiness in their hands, and that's unfair. And I can't tell you how many times I've done that due to anxious avoidant love style, right? And that comes from having an inconsistent form of love being seen and treated in your life. So I know that I can go from being, man, I don't care, I don't need nobody around me, and then to get close to someone, and then like pretty much lose my shit when I'm not able to get to them, be it a breakup, be it distance, moving away, you know what I mean? And like recognizing it's all in your mind, and you're replaying shit from childhood, and it's almost like you're manifesting it into your life. But the only thing you have control over is you. The unconditional love that you share with people, and learning to accept things as they are. Really practicing amor fati. So vulnerability, right? Vulnerability, as much as vulnerable as I was just then sharing all of that shit, I believe it allows us to know how human that we are. And that's the beauty of vulnerability. But don't smother somebody with being so damn vulnerable. That's one thing. That's another thing. Everything must be done in moderation. But it can definitely bring you closer. It's being very tactful. And you know what I'm saying? You don't want to show your whole hand when you meet somebody. You want to just slide that little joker in there from time to time just to let them know, oh, okay, you are human. And I believe it works in our favor when we do such. But these are just the lessons I've learned and becoming vulnerable, and allowing vulnerability to allow you to grow closer to someone. So again, being tactful, but yeah, that's how I believe vulnerability can help you grow closer to somebody. What songs hit your soul? Right off the bat, Human Nature by Michael Jackson. The very first 5 seconds will steal your soul. I want to thank that guy from Steve Porcaro from Toto for creating that record and then giving it to Quincy, who then gave it to Michael. That song is everything to me. That to me is the greatest song I've ever heard in my life. Michael Jackson's Human Nature. Another song that hits my soul when I hear it is Yours Right as Rain by Nancy Wilson. God rest her soul. Jazz, jazz artist from like the 60s, 70s, and through the 80s and 90s. And it's just those strings, man. And I think it's an oboe that's played in it, but when you hear it, it's a rap. Another song that hits my motherfucking soul is Spice Girls, "Two Become One," and like I'm a sucker for strings, yo. Those strings and that will really they'll really get to you. Another song that really hits me is the PM Dawn record, I Die Without You. And when you're in it, when you feel that, the lyrics, you know what I'm saying, as far as like what you've done, what you've gone through, what you've allowed to happen, the, you know, not taking action on something, which led to this particular situation happening with that relationship. It hits you, it just hits you, and it hits you so differently. Another song that hits my motherfucking soul is "Come Back to Me" by Janet Jackson. To me, Janet had one of the greatest voices of the 80s, leading into the early 90s. But like that connection between Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis with Janet is by far one of the greatest collaborations for sound that I've ever heard, you know. And same for Michael with Quincy, Michael with Teddy Riley. You know, like that, those guys were able to work together and just make magic. And another song that hits is "Takeaway" by Missy, about Aaliyah, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it was about Aaliyah at first, or maybe it was. I have to look at the timeline on it. But that record was, it was tough. You know, it's like being in high school and you feeling so attached to your stars and shit. But to see all the, you know, the airplane footage from the Rock the Boat video, and it's questionable shit going on TikTok talking about that shit now, but I digress. But like to see, like to have Aaliyah, you know, die, and then to listen to "Takeaway" and watch the video with Missy and Genuine, it was really a tough pill to swallow, being that feeling that so connected to your artists, like you know them. We don't know these motherfuckers. They're literally just musicians. But back then you couldn't tell me shit. I was so wrapped up in all of that. You know what I mean? Like the music represented me in a sense. I was attached to the artists. They were me. They were my artists. No. But I mean, I could do this all fucking day, honestly. As far as music that hits my soul, it's far too many. But for this segment, that's what I'm leaving you with. What's one thing about the future that scares you? The lack of masculinity in our society. And what I mean by that is us defending ourselves against war from other countries when they try to take over us. Because if we look at our lives from a historical standpoint, all the empires that have fallen were due to the lack of masculinity, men not being men, and as far as us not knowing how to protect, you know, which we've been called to do, and looking at a society raised off of, you know, by single moms, you know what I'm saying? Like if you look at a lot of I'll speak on the Black community, a lot of us being raised by our single moms, or being raised in a home where the mother is teaching men how to be men. How is that going to happen? I'm not able to teach my daughter how to be a woman. You know what I'm saying? I can teach her what I find attractive in women, but I'm not able to teach her how to be a woman. Only a woman can do that. And I firmly believe that we are losing those days of like men having certain skills, survival skills. and the level of entitlement, even within our men. Don't get me wrong, it's there within our women. But as far as us as men, we must, I truly believe that we must be men. We must learn skills. We must learn survival skills. We must learn how to be provider protectors. We must know how to lead in silence. Don't necessarily have to be like the alpha shit. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's not for a man to call himself an alpha out loud in front of a woman. I think that's a form of peacocking. But I truly believe that is the woman that chooses her alpha, whatever she deems to be like her alpha. Like, this is the best man that I'm going to get, that for now, because again, it's hypergamy. But you know, I truly believe that if we focus on building masculinity in ourselves as men, we will then attract the opposite, and women will feel a lot safer with us around. And a calm spirit, you know, somebody that can be calm in chaos is very essential, and not responding on our emotions in the most chaotic ways. When we're in certain scenarios, like not responding with our emotions. But that's what scares me, is like the lack of masculinity that I see going on within our society. Because how are we going to defend ourselves against other countries when we're not prepared mentally to do it? We respond emotionally. Some of us men do. So I would say a lot of us, and obviously I haven't done like a fucking poll or anything, a census or anything, but from what I see and myself, and just from speaking with a lot of people, women, mothers with daughters that date. I think my dentist, one time, me and my dentist was talking. She was telling me about the guys that her daughters were dating, you know, they brought home from college and shit. And she had spoke on how, you know, the daughters are very much the take charge type women, you know what I'm saying? And again, you attract your opposite. So if you are so comfortable with this woman taking all the charge, then obviously we don't have it within us. And I've been there, you know what I'm saying? I dated a take charge woman, a few of them actually. And I just didn't feel much like a man in my mind. You know, you can call it ego, but I truly believe in a role that us as men must play in this society in order to regain, I say, essential structure as to how a man should carry himself, something to be respected. And same for women, allowing our women something to, you know, engaging with women who are respectful, and we treat them as ladies, and having the respect for them, you know, again, allowing them to feel safe. Another thing that scares me about the future is how we date, you know. I say that collectively, not all of us, but I say that collectively as to how we're dating. I see a lot TikTok and shit where we're seeing it where women believe that men don't approach them anymore. And I would say that feminism has definitely played a part in that, and where men are in fear of losing everything just for speaking to a woman. You know what I mean? And some men don't really know how to approach women, and some women don't know how to be women that are, Garner said, approaching. And it's just, there's a big clusterfuck. There's a identity crisis. We have our women being more masculine than us men, and we have our men being more feminine than our women. Well, it's like a true identity crisis. And I believe that it's about looking at various perspectives and seeing how we can improve ourselves, really. Just self-development and self-care, self-love, being able to look at ourselves and not bash ourselves, but hold ourselves accountable for the things that we didn't do so well that might benefit us in the long run as men. So again, the lack of masculinity, and then a world a society that's being created that does not want to have the traditional form of masculinity in its society, and the women are suffering for it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, now society for the last 40 years, I believe, has taught our women to become the men that they wanted. You know what I mean? To date, like working, being able to lead and all this shit. Don't get me wrong; those skills are good, but I mean, I think we all should have skills. You know what I'm saying? That's like from a survival standpoint. I believe that's really great. I'm not knocking against any woman with a job. I'm not, no fucking caveman or anything like that. However, I will say that the inability to turn that shit off when you're done working is fucking up our chances of like building that, I would say, level of masculinity in men, and then the level of femininity in women, right? And it just affects I talk about it a lot because it affects us so much from a survival standpoint. Like from a survival standpoint, I believe that from a historical standpoint, women were looking for men with the best, resources, the best skills in order to preserve their kids, have their kids coming out in the best way. So you just look at that from a historical standpoint. So if we're breeding young boys and having them like not know how to do anything, change tires, do a tie, know how to walk on the side of the street and open doors and things like that, then we're going to be a lost society. And then also looking at creating a society where it's like, there was that one scene in that Denzel Washington movie, and it was talking about all these ladies in here standing up and these men in seats, and it was like, well, we don't want to sit down or whatever. So it's like you're in one breath, you want a man to court you, you want a man to approach you and date you, and then another breath you're like, I don't need no man. You know how confusing that shit is for us men out here. And any man worth this time ain't gonna sit there and listen to that shit anyway. But that is the situation in which we're left in. Motherfuckers is not sure on what they can do. Like, men are left in a lot of fear. Fear of having their life taken from them for saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing. And that's not all on women. But then that aspect that is become an issue. That again, that feminism. So the lack of masculinity, feminism having an issue with that. I believe we can value women without having to make this whole make it to the forefront. You know what I'm saying? Like I just believe that we can raise a generation of men going forward, that if we put a focus on having the skills, like almost like a charm school for men and charm school for women, and sense of recognizing their masculinity and their feminine energies that we have amongst each other. But that scares me that we may be in a position to where America may fall for not having any proper protection. You know what I'm saying? The ability to defend itself against threats going on around the country. And I don't think it's something that's going to happen like in the next 2-3 years type thing. But I think over time, with us carrying ourselves the way that we do, I truly believe that we're going to find ourselves in a position to where another country may be stronger than us because of their structure, their masculine structure, and how their men are raised to carry themselves. And same with same with their women. But America's about being free, and it's like America is like this pissed off teenager and doesn't want to be told what to do, and we can do whatever we want to do. And sometimes that just leads to chaos. But I mean, it's just my perspective on things. I know I said a lot, and I very well might not have explained it in the best manner, but that's why I'm explaining it today. But those are the things that scare me about the future. And it just boils down to the lack of masculinity, which all that shit, I say falls under that umbrella of life. But I mean, if we draw attention to it, I truly believe that we can start with our own tribe, save them, young boys, and teaching them how to engage in situations, how to have a masculine frame, how to have strong boundaries, how to not put women on pedestals, how to treat women, value women, you know what I'm saying, appreciate them, but don't make it out, don't treat them like a celebrity, because they're gonna treat you like a fan. You know what I'm saying? And it's a level of respect that must be there. And I believe that if we focus on it, like I said, whether it be a charm school for men, charm school for girls, I think that we will program because everything we do is a part of a program, some sort. Your family programmed you to think the way you think now until you decide to change it. So we can definitely deprogram what we've been taught, and then get reprogrammed into a way that'll benefit us as far as being men for our women, and allow our women to be women for men, and essentially having happier relationships, and having kids that are more mental health conscious, and in ways that they can protect themselves in this world that's designed for them to not really win, to feel entitled to a win without having to work for it. That's another thing that scares me about the future, is the level of entitlement. So entitlement, lack of the lack of masculinity, and whatever the fuck else I said. But that is my thoughts on that, and I'm out. Good night, kids.